Hello. It's coming in my ears. That's all I know. Folks, Brian is fixing his audio. Please give him a second. While Brian can't speak, I'll take this time to talk about me and how awesome I am.
Uh,
Clearly the winner of the two of
I
us.
think I fixed it. I got it.
Damn.
Sorry. I could hear you the whole time, right?
Oh, I misunderstood the problem, folks.
It was just I'm checking the levels. Yeah, okay.
Check the
Yep,
levels.
there we go. All right. So, um yeah, so how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good, good. I have this band-aid on my finger. You want to know how I got these scars? Huh? You want to know?
Of course I do.
Every every so often in life there's an event
Cat.
an event that happens. Yeah, there's a cat around too. Um, an event that happens, and you look at it, and you're just like, well, that can't possibly be real. I need to get a second opinion on this. And a good example of that is last summer when my wife and I were carrying an old desk out to the side of the road, and I went to get the mail, and I was like, "Hey, Amanda, why is our mailbox laying in the ditch?" Because someone had kicked our mailbox over and then
Into a ditch.
into a
Got it.
ditch. And then you're
Got it.
just like, you're seeing this, right? Our mailbox is in a ditch. So I'm walking through the house today, and we had the windows open because it was kind of nice out. So it was breezy and everything in the house. And so we have this bay window, and it's been cracked for a couple of years because some bird or something flew into it and cracked it. And we just taped over the cracks, thinking we'll get this
Like you
fixed,
do. Sure.
eventually. And then the pandemic hit, and we were like, no way are we letting someone in the house to take our wall out because we already had an entire wall in this house taken out and replaced from scratch. Um, but
I
anyway,
remember that.
I'm walking through the family room, and I look at the window, and I'm thinking like, huh, seems like there's a lot more cracks than I remember, and also there's a big hole in it. Let me ask Amanda about this. So I walk over to the living room, I'm like, hey Amanda, what do you know about the big hole in the window? And of course, she didn't know anything about it, and we went over there, and apparently, something else had smacked the window from the outside in about the same spot, and this time broke all the way through the outer pane, and
Oh
then
dear.
busted a small hole through the inner pane. So the outer pane has a hole like this big, and the inner pane has a hole like this big.
Are you sure your house wasn't shot?
It's well, okay.
It
So I
it
we
it sounds like it may have been shot.
we do have a window upstairs that has a bullet hole in it, but that's a completely different thing. Either that or we've got birds with really, really powerful beaks that keep hitting our windows. But yeah, so anyway, it was definitely hit from the outside because everything shattered inwards. Um,
Hmm.
and it probably happened today at some point. Although I'd have noticed our house has blah, blah, felt a little drafty lately, but I'm pretty sure I would have noticed before now if the window had shattered all over the place. So
I
anyway,
mean, maybe.
we put some cardboard on it, be fine for a couple years. So anyway, I cut my hand cleaning up the glass. There was
Jeez.
there was a piece of the window sticking down, and I had like towel to wipe up the glass, and then I stuck my hand near it, and from the top, like it just ran across my finger. So
Ah, that was that was a very Nick Fury losing his eye story. Like you started off with like, oh man, how did I get? And then it sounded like, oh my god, like I was waiting for you to be like. And then I was walking by the window, and a gust of wind blew, and the whole door just shattered in on me. And then you're just like, no, I get cut by a cat.
mhm. it's
So
like
good job. That is MCU level storytelling, Brian.
thank you,
Well done.
thank you. It was like the Phil Ken 7, how he why he wears an eye patch kind of deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. I do.
So anyway, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about people who died recently.
People who had more than a scratch on their hand. Got it. Nice segue.
Thank you. You're picking up what I'm putting down. So famous famous comic book artist Neil Adams passed away. He was 80. Um,
That really sucks. Neil Adams. Have you ever like? I've never met him,
I know.
but I've seen him at a lot of Comic Cons.
Oh yeah. Have I been
And
to
like
Comic Cons that he was
he's
there?
yes,
Okay, good,
yes, you have been.
good.
He. I mean, he always seemed very much alive. which is different from
That's
this.
true.
Because
People
no,
do people do
what
tend to remain alive right up until their death.
I
I've
know.
noticed this.
No, but like for being, when I saw him in his 70s, he was very lively. He always seemed like he was happy, raking in all the money. Um, he was definitely not. See, he was on like a subconscious list of people I've wanted to meet and get autographs from. Because they had big to dos in the Green Lantern, world. Now, I met and not really spoke with, but kind of like was entertained by Martin Nodal, the original creator of the Alan Scott Green Lantern,
Mhm.
and I have his autograph. And he was an interesting guy. I liked him because he had no pretension, mostly because he got none of the fame and or money that some of the comic book creators had. His claim to fame was, "Yep, I was that guy who invented the version of Green Lantern that nobody cares about." Especially at that point, Alan Scott was very well forgotten. Basically, at the point where I was hanging out, listening to him talk, but he would talk about like how him and his wife used to like hand deliver comic books. Like he would make comic books because he loved making comic books, and like basically treated it like a paper route where they went out and delivered their books to people who were interested in them and stuff. And I think that was really cool because he was such a cool, down to earth guy. Neil Adams always seemed like the complete opposite of that.
Hmm.
Like he always seemed like he wanted to be like on a throne, and again, now I never had any personal dealings with him. This was just how like I judged him from afar. So it would be cool to hear anybody out there who's has stories about meeting or talking to Neil Adams, and that maybe he was a super cool guy. But the air that he always gave off was that, yeah, he was happy. He always looked happy. But that, he would definitely, if you met him like in an elevator and tried to take a selfie, he'd be like, "That's like $20." You know what I mean? Like that's just the kind of guy I feel like he was. Um, but I also, part of me thinks that he may have subconsciously been who I base stand up guy on. Like
Right.
if you look at that hair,
That's
that,
true.
that impossible hair,
Hmm.
it's very similar. It's very similar to stand up guys. Um, but in all, goofing aside, he was very prolific. He changed comic books in a good way, which is not something that happens very often.
Hmm.
And for as much of he, I actually, uh, don't tell anybody. I don't love the run of Green Lantern, Green Arrow that everybody else, heralds as such a wonderful thing.
Yeah, the
Um,
hard
I,
the hard traveling heroes.
yeah, it's very heavy-handed.
It definitely
Um,
is.
but it was also beautifully made, though. Like it looks good.
Hmm.
So, um,
And that was with
I
Denny O'Neil, who
yeah,
died like just about almost 2 years ago, I think.
I think so. I think so. They're out hard traveling somewhere else. But yeah, it's a shock. It was a shock that he passed. I didn't know he was 80. Like I said, he looked good. He looked vibrant, and I'm fairly certain that was a piece on his head there.
I'm not going to speculate. Yeah, probably, maybe.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, it really, has he done anything in a while? I can't remember. I don't know that he
The
was.
last thing that I was aware of was something around like 2010.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like a.
Well, and you know what? He had
Well,
a he had
I'm
a
fairly certain it was a Batman thing.
he had a connection to us. That was our very very first variant cover,
Oh yeah, really?
was the Neil Adams variant Green Lantern cover, where Green Lantern, Green Arrow were fighting Black Mercy plants.
Mm.
And interestingly enough, the all of a sudden it was Jeff Goldblum for a second. It's like, interestingly enough, um, they, for some reason, Diamond goofed up because we called them right away. It was like our first week in business, and I was like, "Oh my god, we have to get this variant." And it was a 1 in 10, which meant you had to buy 10 copies, and you could order one. So we called them up and asked if we could do that, and they said sure. But then they sent us 11 copies of the variant, and it was very big for us because we sold those for at least $10 each, just raping and pillaging the customers.
Oh, so yeah, it was definitely a rough first week with that. Yeah,
We learned from the best.
yeah. Speaking of which, um, our I almost said friend, the person that we purchased our comic book store from also passed away this week. Walter.
He did.
Um, this guy was a character,
He
and
sure was.
even though we haven't actually, you might have spoken to him more recently, but I haven't spoken to him in at least 10 years. Um,
I saw him at he went to the same church that is attached to my daughter's school, and so I saw him at church once. But I had a very complicated set of feelings when it came to Walter. Walter, like 1,000% took advantage of us.
oh yeah, well, of everyone,
Like
that was his thing.
of everyone he met. Yeah, that I mean that's true. That's very true. He was a grifter. Like that's what he did. Um the without, without embarrassing ourselves mentioning dollar amounts, he sold us his business um for way more money than we should have paid. And all he gave us 100,000 plus back issues that no one could sell.
Yeah, it's like we on the surface, like if you just said like, "Hey, this is what
Right,
you're getting," plus the whole business and all the clientele and everything, like it sounds great. But then once we really got to realize what we had, it was like, yeah,
right.
we could have talked that we should have talked that down quite a bit more.
Quite a bit more. Quite like a fifth,
And he would tell
maybe
us
a tenth
stories. He would tell us stories
of
about
how he's.
yeah, about how he would take advantage of customers and the different
Yep.
schemes he had because he's like, here's
Yeah.
here's how you could screw over the customers too.
Right. Like he would. It was kind of fun. I'm not gonna deny at this point in my life, um, it was water under the bridge.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, but it was very it was interesting. Like he would. Well, okay. So my interactions with Walter. Let's go back to the beginning. Walter ran the local comic book store in Lansing, Illinois, for our entire lives.
Yeah.
Um, he had competition though. Literally directly across the street was a guy named Magoo,
Was the guy I don't think
and
was actually named Magoo.
no, his name was Jonathan Magoo. And Jonathan Magoo,
Okay.
you would go into Jonathan Magoo's store and
Mhm.
you'd say, Jonathan, I'm looking for a particular thing. And he'd say, yes, I have that for 10 times the value of what it should be.
Yes, but it
Um,
comes with a bag and board, Pet.
right.
Comes
Came
with
with
a
a
bag and
bag
board.
and board. I will never forget. Um, you could probably help me on the date on this. The first run of Power Rangers action figures had just come out,
Probably
and it was my birthday. It
93,
was the
August
head flippers.
August 1993, or if you're
And
talking about your
so
birthday, then probably 94.
right. So the head flippers. So not the basic ones, the head flippers. Those
Those
were the
were
ones I needed.
yeah, those were still year one. So
So they had just started hitting Toys R Us, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And I remember Magoo had the whole set of them. And I spent all of my birthday money, which was like $35, on one because that's how much he charged for it.
yeah,
And I got I think I got the Red Ranger. And then of course within like 2 weeks they were everywhere.
mhm.
But he got me. He got and I was stuck with the knowledge that I could have had all of the Rangers for that money. But no, I had to have it first. And then there were always these things with him. I don't know how this wasn't supposed to be a Magoo remembrance, but Johnny Magoo, he always had like that first run of Marvel toys. You remember those with the gray package?
Yeah,
And he had this invisible woman that I always thought was a cool figure because it was all clear, and it was like $25, and it never sold. And
Twenty
in
twenty five
fact,
dollars of like early to mid '90s money.
right, right. When Magoo's was closing down, he had like a no reasonable offer refused sign up, which was a
Well, he was
lie.
the judge of what was reasonable.
And
Fair
I
price,
just
unreasonable.
I remember being in there and it was marked down to $20, and I was like, and it was like maybe the day, or within a couple of days he was closed forever. And I was like, what's the best price you could do on this invisible woman that's been sitting here for 10 years? And he's like, well, it says $20. It's like, it's only $5 less than you wanted a month ago. And he's like, it's $20, man. I left it. I was like, no way, man. No. Anyway, Walter told us how excited this is the kind of person Walter was. Um Walter told us a story that made me feel much better about the Invisible Woman. Um, they used to have sidewalk sales in Lansing in the dead of summer, and Walter's like, that idiot Magoo, Johnny Magoo. Johnny Magoo brought out 12 boxes of comic books, and he let 'em sit there and bake in the sun.
Hmm.
Before the day
They're
was
way
over,
overcooked.
they were a solid hunk of plastic he had to throw away. It was the greatest. It's like, he was just so mean, and I love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he would tell us about how he was a car salesman and how he used to screw people over who were selling cars, and how like him and his buddy used to work parking cars for the people in the diamond industry, and I mean, this was years before this actually like was semi common knowledge that the diamond industry was a sham. He'd be like, it's such a sham, those assholes would be handing out rocks this big for parking their car. It didn't mean shit to them. and, then he would tell God forbid he was there while somebody was buying something in the store. He would be shocked and appalled at our prices and how low they were. And he's like, well, they bought one. He got like 12 more of them. Don't you know you can't just let them sit out there? Collect all those up and put them in the back. And every time you put a new one out, mark it up $5. And it's like, Walter, these came out like a week ago. He's like, I don't care. They'll pay it. We're like, that's not how we do business,
Yeah.
Walter. But I mean, granted, we went out of business in 5 years. He was there for like 20,
Hmm.
30,
Yeah. I
a
mean,
100. I
he
don't really know.
he survived by charging people way more. I mean, like that's literally true. Like he just charged people way more than the things were worth, and people paid it. And that's how he survived. And we refused to do that. You know.
Right. And that, and the fact that it was being run by a bunch of 20-something-year-olds that didn't know how to run a business is why we didn't have a business for more than 5 years. So,
I mean, I think
uh,
there's a lot of factors. There's people with pull boxes of hundreds of comics that they're never going to pay for. You know.
once again, that's something that people with good business heads on their shoulders would not have let happen.
Yeah.
We were very trusting people.
Yeah.
It was unfair to us to have put ourselves in to going into business.
Right. I would not go into business with myself, even
not
today,
not from
knowing
them.
what I
No,
know about how I
no.
run a
Knowing
business.
what I know about myself,
Yeah.
I would not.
No,
No.
absolutely not. Um,
Um,
you speaking of comics and selling, you were telling me earlier about like an article or something you'd read about the.
yeah, it really is shockingly eye-opening to some, and to others like myself and uh people who think like me. um there's been a huge shift in comics. Basically, I wish I had the article that I could post with you guys, but I don't. It wasn't an article; it was a video,
Mm,
and this guy had a copy of like the top selling uh comic books, and then this is through bookstores, not necessarily comic book stores, bookstores. Um and so basically what's happened is Marvel and DC essentially don't even appear in the top 100.
Does that number include comic book stores in with all bookstores, or is it just
No,
bookstores?
I believe it is just specifically bookstores. And the troubling thing is that bookstores are really what you and I don't know if bookstores encompass, I don't know all the things that this encompasses, but
There are not many dedicated comic book stores left. So it's
right,
not a
right,
large pool of things to take. Like throughout large parts of the country, your local bookstore is going to be your only place to get comic books, other than like the internet.
right. And I mean, bookstores are also not doing well.
Right.
you know but the point is that whenever you can compile a list like this, you would think, like when you're just talking about comic books, you would think that your general Spider-Man or X-Men, Superman, Batman, and those are the characters that you're going to think are going to be tops, right?
Hmm.
you know and which is flagrantly untrue. Apparently, manga runs the world when it comes to any of these things. Manga is so much bigger than regular comic books
Yeah, I believe that.
at this juncture. But even when you take those out of the equation, it's it's not, Marvel and DC are not there anymore. They're not in these lists anymore because they left kids behind.
Yeah.
You know, we were the last generation of kids that were marketed to.
Mhm.
You know, you
with
think about,
with comics, like my
right.
kids.
Obviously, the movies are still like made for
Yeah,
families,
but
which
there
thank goodness.
there are things that like my kids are very well familiar with a lot of the DC superheroes because they love Teen Titans Go,
There you
right?
go.
But there's nothing about that show that's going to drive them to a comic book store.
Right. I mean, the closest thing that you could get, other than the fact, and I do believe Teen Titans Go was one of the only books that when they were producing it was still hitting top marks. It was still being purchased hugely. Now we've talked about this in the past too. DC suffers from not being its own company.
Mhm.
It is owned by AT&T, AOL, Time Warner, whatever the crap ball it is. And the fact is that they don't have much in the way of support. I wish, if I could work my will, one of the things I would do would be to somehow purchase DC, at least like the comic book division. Like keep your movie rights, cuz that's all you really care about. Just give the comic books back over here and let them make fun comic books again, you know? You think about, like, I haven't read comic books in a long time now, mostly because it did take this weird dark adult turn, you know. And for me, comic books were always more for fun.
You
You
know,
know what I mean?
and yeah, interestingly enough, like I haven't read um like Marvel or DC comics in a long time.
Mhm.
I still read some comics from time to time, but it's usually like smaller properties. But like whenever like I follow people who are big into comics, like
Right.
our friend Molly and various people like that. And
Yeah.
and I see what they're reading and because they talk about them and it's never Marvel and DC. The things that get people
Right.
excited are
Right.
the indie comics and the things that have nothing to do with superheroes for the most part. I mean, there's some indie superhero books, but like it's never Marvel. No one's ever like, oh man, did you? I can't wait to read the latest issue of whatever X-Men. It's never that.
Right. It's been so long since, well, a big part of the idea when they were, marketing comic books to kids was not only the secondary stuff, because again, I've said this a lot of times. I am much more of an action figure trading card kid than I ever was comic books. I liked the comic books because I already liked the trading cards and the cartoon shows and the action figures. And so to find more about these characters that I already found a home to love, I went and found comic books about them, and that really that link brought me together with the whole thing. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I I forgot to tell Brian about this, that I don't even know if you guys are gonna be able to see this. I got one of the last trading cards I needed. Um, I
I'll,
feel like I say that a lot to Brian.
I'll
Uh,
switch it over to your video and you could try to hold it up or whatever.
this is a hologram, which again is, I think, what's not gonna
Oh,
show well here.
oh, there you go.
Um,
Yeah, you can
oh,
see it's
let's yeah,
Wolverine.
yep, that's Wolverine. It's trying to blur. That's part of the problem. But anyway,
You know,
this is
I,
from the X-Men Series 2 line.
I don't know
And
why, but
it's a really sweet hologram card. You have to trust me on this.
Microsoft Teams is really good at cutting out, like not cutting out objects that you're holding, right? It's really good. Like if I take a sip of my drink while I'm on a Microsoft Teams meeting at work, it's not gonna cut out the drink because it's not part of me. If I'm on a Zoom call and I go like, Zoom will 100% cut this out, and there will just be a hole in my face. And I don't understand how Microsoft Teams can be so good at cutting out a human, and Microsoft Skype can be so bad at cutting out a human. Like, just use the same technology, you jerks.
That would be fair. But anyway, to back to our original point here, is that so these trading cards, these comic books, these toys, they're all kids things.
Hmm.
And while I'm happy that there's an adult market because I am an adult who enjoys these things, there's also, like we were talking about 2 weeks ago, with the digital trading cards, and how the trading cards have priced me as an adult out of them. You know, I can't say with confidence that I'm going to buy an entire case, a box of cards for, $120. That's a lot of money to put into trading cards, and knowing for a fact you don't even get enough trading cards in that box to complete a base set, let alone the odds that you're going to get tons of doubles anyway. You are going to have to purchase 2 or 3 boxes of those cards to get yourself a set of these cards. And that's obscene.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. So the odds that a kid is going to get into this is even more ridiculous. $7 a pack for 6 trading cards, digital
Hmm.
trading cards. That's ridiculous.
I
Kids can't, there's no sustainability for a child to say, I can get into this.
I think
That
there's
is
a
gatekeeping at the highest level.
yeah, I think what's happened here is that in general prices of everything have gone up in the last couple of years, right? Because of the
Hmm.
pandemic and everything that created. Prices of everything went up. I think a lot of companies just went, we know that we
Ooh,
cannot
excuse me.
offer things to kids at these prices. So we gave up on the kids. We're just going to go whole hog
Well,
on collectors who
now
hopefully
here's
still
the
have
thing though.
disposable income.
Right. Here's the thing though. They can't. They can't or they won't.
Well, like that,
Because
I mean, a digital trading
I
card
have
you could literally
something
offer
that
at any
we are
price.
right.
But
I'm gonna call these out right here, my friend. This
mhm,
blurry thing.
mhm.
This is a dollar store action figure that could be Superman, that could be Batman. Doesn't, this is an inexpensively made toy that is definitely meant for children. And it can cost $1.25. Now,
Are they
is
making
it
money?
something, I don't know. But the point is that were they ever making money? Was that their bread and butter, or was that something that brought people in?
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I
You
do feel
know,
like you need to have something to get people in the door. Like
right.
when your business relies on, like, we're just going to cater to the people who have the most money. You're solving the immediate term problem at the expense of your long term business.
Right. Because here's the thing, aside from these movies that are definitely her dad's movies, what's my kid got vested into Spider-Man
Yeah.
or Superman or anything? You know, like right now, these are like us having to watch westerns with our dads.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They are our father's things, and we can love them. I loved watching Bonanza with my dad. I still love Bonanza because I used to watch it with my folks.
Hmm. You know what we need is
Uh,
we need another round of comics that are labeled "not your father's whatever," so that the kids know, oh yeah, this is me,
oh, this is me.
and
This
not
is
this
me.
is not my dad's Transformers from 3 years ago. This is
Right.
my
These
Transformers.
are my Transformers from now. No, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like even the big toy companies have the right idea where they have the budget lines. You know what I mean? They have the you can walk into a Five Below and get some Star Wars figures. Are they the best? No, but it's okay because they don't need to be the best. Because when you're a kid, you just want something that represents something you've seen before, something familiar that's also awesome, and then you make up your own shit anyway.
Hmm.
You know, and that was the beauty of being a kid and going to like Toys R Us, which is again another thing that they've taken from us. There is no toy stores anymore. You know, at best we have vintage toy stores, which by the way, amazing places. Thank you for existing,
Hmm.
vintage toy stores.
Hmm.
But I want a Toys R Us. And right now, like I said, like going to the Dollar Tree once a week to hunt for Final Faction figures is something that genuinely makes me happy, and why does it make me happy? Because the shelves are always full of them. Whether the ones I'm looking for or not, they're full, you know? And then what happens are like when today, like all of a sudden, the newest wave of I don't know what they call them, the side pack, the weapons packs, are available online. And so I was like, oh man, I gotta go check and see if they're out, and they were not.
Hmm.
but but while I was there, I was like, they do have the entire first wave of figures, which I haven't seen a ton of, and all of those figures are who these new accessory packs are for. So I'm just gonna buy them again so I can have like a regular version and an all fully accessorized version. And again, like it worked. I spent $10, I think, at the dollar store when I would have spent no dollars at the dollar store. I grabbed some drinks there, I ended up with a handful of toys that do I need them or not is arguable, but
So did you find new Final Faction guys? You were holding up in packaged people.
this is wave one. This is steadfast. I have something I will show you guys. Is it time? You want me to show them now?
All right.
See,
Let
there's
me
there's
let me check the calendar.
steadfast.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Now it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then it's final faction time, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's a terrible catchphrase.
Yeah, that's how you bring
Sorry.
that's how you really bring the kids in.
That's how you bring the kids in, right? Yippee ki mother goose. Um, so this one caught me really by surprise. How freaking awesome it is.
Do I need to bring up
Um,
that again or no? Do they
what's
have
that?
do they have it on the website, the new one?
This particular one's not on the website, but you
Oh,
go ahead and get it ready because I can show you the stuff I was hunting for.
all right. You think they got
So
them? Last time they
this
didn't have the dudes on the website.
they have the one I was hunting for this time. So they just put them up. That's why I went to the store today. Anyway, so a couple of weeks ago I showed you guys the ATV that the heroes have. This is the Rumbler, and this is the villain's vehicle. Come on, you can do it. Go in front of my face, maybe.
There you go.
No,
Don't move now. Don't move. Ah, he moved.
I hate this. I hate this so much. I'm gonna get it out of the box.
All right. So
So
I'm shooting over to the browser view because I got a picture of the guy.
you got the Rumbler.
Oh no, I got the
Now
stuff.
that's Master Sergeant Steadfast.
I got the wrong thing then. Okay, where's the Rumbler? What is the Rumbler?
I don't know if the Rumbler's on there. That's the problem. Now you just got to go to the actual products, like the page where you buy stuff, not the special page.
The
There's more
Rumbler.
stuff to see.
How you spell it? Rumbler?
Rumbler. Like I said, I don't know that. I don't
Okay.
know if the Rumbler's on the site.
Let me list some things. You tell me if these are the Rumbler. Ladies solid white rubber flip flops.
Definitely not.
Wooden and rubber toilet plunger 19-inch.
So there's the body of the Rumbler. I think if I hold it right by my face, you can see it.
Does it rumble?
I mean, one might be able to make it rumble, but
6 Easter egg dyeing ideas. Not,
no.
as far as I could tell, this is just ideas. You're just purchasing ideas, not any sort of product. And I'm going to go back to browser view so you can all see what I'm talking about here. Oh, I guess I could switch over to your view too so you could show it up. Hold on, I'm making you full screen. Okay, you're full screen. Do something. Not that.
Look at that. Look
Mm-hmm.
at that the vehicle.
Yep.
And it's got like a little back bit here where you plug that some bitch in, and there's so it's basically this huge chariot
Mm-hmm. This
of
is for the bad guys, I assume, right?
this is the bad guy chariot. So it's got like this like weird, what do they call it here? Everything's got
That's the
names. That's
deflector
that's my
disc.
favorite part about
That's the deflector array.
might might just be. Let's see. The Rumbler, Karn's light weapons evacuation vehicle that is used for pillaging the Earth's natural resources.
The Easter egg dying
So,
ideas is literally just ideas. It's not even a product you could buy. It's just like an article.
well, I mean, that's they got to get you there, right? So there's this vehicle here.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet. Got the back, but then of course there's a second pack here.
Obviously.
There's an accessory pack.
Mm-hmm. An accessory to violence.
Indeed.
Fun and retro DIY tie-dye socks. You should never have set me loose on the Dollar Tree website, though.
I was gonna say I don't know what this has to do with anything, but I'm down.
Oh, adorable and affordable do-it-yourself diaper wreath, right?
I mean, I've
The
said it
more the
once.
more words you go in the title, the better it gets. Look at
This could be a whole nother podcast,
this
Brian.
thing. We're doing two different shows right now. This is a simulcast. Look at this thing. Hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Are you attending a baby shower and don't know what to get the mother to be? Well, you're in luck because now you could just tie a bunch of diapers together and stick a sheep in it.
I mean,
Are you supposed
that's
to
what
like
my folks did.
now? Are you supposed to pull the diapers off of here and stick them on the baby, or like is this kind of like
My
the
my guess
baby
is
shower
yes.
equivalent of like an edible arrangement? And then
Yes.
it's like you decorate it, but then you also slowly destroy it.
That's the gist. It's like it's all fun and games until you're actually out of
I need
diapers.
additional baby shower gift ideas. I'm not sure that that one satisfies my needs.
All right,
Baby
check that.
washcloth rose bouquet. I don't care about your toys anymore. Baby
Look at
wa
this.
Okay, fine. I'm putting you back.
And enjoy this bizarre,
That's a
wonderful,
scorpion chariot.
yeah, something.
It's definitely something.
Officially, it's the Rumbler with optional weapons and armor. Here, hold on, I got a guy over. This is Diablos.
Mhm.
It's not really his name, but it's close.
Close enough.
You gotta take the top off to fit him, and then clip the top back on.
Mm.
And there you are, ready to roll over those final faction ninny goody goods.
Yep, the mini goody
Look at
good.
that! Look at that giant toy, man. That is a giant
Eh,
hunk of awesome plastic.
I've seen bigger.
Yeah, but did the whole thing cost 375 including the figure.
I mean, are we
Hmm.
talking that's $3.75? If that's what you
Yes.
mean, then no.
Yes. Yes. $3.75.
If we're talking,
Not,
if we're not talking cents, then perhaps. If you're not
nope.
talking cents here, are you?
I'm never talking sense.
All right, let's cut over to a new topic. I want to cover a thing before I take my water break.
Okay.
Let me get myself back up on the screen here.
That's probably
Actually,
preferable.
now that I think about it, I should probably get a different thing up on the screen. We're going to talk about. Oh, actually, which one should we do first? Do you want to talk about Doctor Strange or you want to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder? Thor 4, more Thor.
I guess Doctor
Okay,
Strange,
boom. I hit the button.
because Doctor Strange is coming
Yeah, it's
first.
like a week, right? According to the head exploding
Yeah.
emoji down here.
Yeah.
So we got this teaser. Now we've had trailers a lot, and they've teased some things before, and of course, once again, I can't do the audio, but this is specifically labeled Illuminati, and I believe Baron Mordo here says that this is the Illuminati. Actually, let me turn on. Yeah,
Right.
the
He.
Illuminati will see
Yes.
you now.
The Illuminati will see you now.
And so, we got all the guys. Who is this?
Oh, look at that. I believe that to be Maria Rambeau. Rambo.
Rambo. Is this Maria or Monica?
Rambo.
I don't remember who's the
Or yeah, I don't know which one's what, but the one from WandaVision.
right.
That's
Okay.
my belief.
Yeah, I believe I had heard that there was a variant of her of that character on the
Could be
Illuminati
a variant. Could be.
because
Who
I think
knows? Who knows? That's the best part about this movie.
all of these Illuminati characters I believe are supposed to be variants of ones that you know.
Correct. That's the beauty of the thing that we're about to
Yeah.
see.
So
Go
this
ahead. Go
is
ahead and play that for like
yep,
1 second
right
more, and
there.
we can see. Yeah.
Captain Carter, and this is America Chavez in the back there.
Right.
But yeah, this is Captain Carter from the what was the cartoon?
The What
The
If
What If
cartoon.
cartoon. We also know there's Marvel zombies in this movie
Right.
from the a previous trailer. But yeah, but then we get we'll see what kind of Doctor Strange you are. Look at that.
Oh, it's the yellow.
It's the yellow hook.
And is his suit green
His
with a blue
suit is
tie?
green with a blue tie, Pat.
So I gotta believe, and
This is
I
90s
gotta
animated
right. I am
animated Patrick Stewart.
I am so hopeful that we just get a glimpse, just like him going into a portal, and we see '90s era X-Men costumes in real life. I know I'm asking for a
Yeah,
lot.
you are.
They're
You
already
definitely are.
giving me so much,
But I got
but a guy can dream.
I got to think, right? Like the way Marvel's been really hush hush with their reveals in movies lately. Like I'm wondering
Right.
if they're like, "Hey, we're revealing these things because these are not the craziest things in this movie."
Right. Right. Or the only other thing that I can say is like they're trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah, that could be
You
true.
know, because everybody was like they dropped Patrick Stewart's voice in the first
Yeah.
trailer, and so everybody was like,
Well, there was
"What?"
that previs leak like 2 years ago or whatever that showed him
Right.
in the yellow chair and everything, and everyone was like, "Is this real or is this just someone
Yeah,
making a
but
fake?"
it sure looks real
It's
here.
definitely real here for sure.
Yeah.
There's also the big rumor that Iron Man is in this movie, but played by Tom Cruise.
Now I can't remember what article I read, or somebody had some pretty damning evidence against that, but I can't remember what it is now. So
How
I
could there
mean,
be
that all could
evidence
be
against it?
misdirection, but
How could there be? Was it like he was seen in a different part of the country during filming or something? Like,
like I think it may have been something like where they're like, well, actually, Tom Cruise was for sure here when you guys were saying you were thinking he was here.
I
Just
mean,
pointing that out, like it was one of those kinds of things where it was
I'm
like, oh well,
I am 100% certain that they could move Tom Cruise to the other side of the world to shoot like a cameo and then get him back where he needs to be if they need.
I mean
I'm not
that's
saying he's
that's
definitely in the
entirely
movie, but
possible.
I don't think that any of none of that rules it out. They could green screen him in. They could film him, you know.
That's also. I mean, look what Zack Snyder did with Green Lantern in his driveway. So
Mhm.
something could be done. I think I'll be honest with you. I think that it would be um almost a misstep to do that to us. Like this is great. Like I love that they're very clearly telling you that this Professor X is not the Professor X that you know, because I think fans would feel cheated if this was canonical Fox movies Professor X, because Patrick Stewart left that role.
Yes.
He left it on a high note. He played in Logan. He did everything he was going to do with the character, and he said, "Okay, I'm done."
Yep. That he died twice in that
Right.
continuity, and that was enough.
and yeah,
Logan was a really
and
good
so
movie.
to it was a great movie. But to drop him in here like this is like just kind of like a tee hee 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 hee. Um, it's weird because I think that they might be biting off a little more than they can chew, in that I don't know if they realize how important this version of this character
I
is.
mean, I think they do because they're redoing the entire animated series,
Well, true,
which
true, but like,
may Pat, this may literally be
well,
from the
that's
show.
true.
Like
Like, yeah,
that could be an
that's
actual tie-in to the MCU.
I would love nothing more than this to be literally the cartoon version of Professor X in live act. Like they were just like, nope, that's just that
It would
universe,
be like
which again is so why I desperately want to see into their universe, just a
maybe they're
glimpse.
using
Give me
the technology from the new Chip and Dale movie. Do you see that trailer? You know, where Dale gets the CGI surgery and now
yes,
he's three
yes,
dimensional instead of two dimensional. I think that's the most brilliant idea I have heard in one of these goofy like old Disney remake movies.
uh-huh. No, I'm with you. I love
You,
what's going
I'm gonna
on.
bring just
I love and hate what's going on with that movie.
uh,
There's so much
and
weird shit happening.
rescue range. There we go. Look at you can even see it in the thing there. Yeah, it's like
Yep.
it's a world of three. It's a Roger Rabbit-esque world of 2D and 3D people living together. And
In fact, in the first trailer, they legitimately reference Roger
mhm,
Rabbit.
yep. And then, but now like they're talking about like they're in their old show, you know, like they did the show in the '90s and everything, and now they're
Well, and that my favorite part in that little sequence there was that they did the voices and had the original voice actors from the cartoon show do the voices. Like they were like, "What if I did a voice like this?" And then did the cartoon show voices, which is amazing. Lumiere's there. That guy's dead though. That's disrespectful.
no, but yeah, it's like Dale or Chip is still 2D and Dale is
Right.
3D now, and so like they go on adventures in different amounts of D.
Yes. Yes. I'm sure that that should probably be the title of some kind of a movie.
Hmm. Yep, some kind of a movie. But yeah, no, this movie out of all of the Disney like remake movies that have been coming out, this is like one of the first ones that I actually would be interested in seeing. Like
I
I
mean,
haven't been interested in any of the other live action redos of '90s movies, but
it doesn't hurt that Andy Samberg and John Mulaney
yeah,
are Chip and Dale.
right.
I also love this one at the end, uh, when Seth Rogen is the weird dead-eyed character. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Plus, I think I there
Oh,
him
yeah,
right
okay.
here. Seth Rogen is this character, and then that is
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa from the live action, who was also voiced by Seth Rogen, and they're interacting together. I love it.
Hmm.
I flippin' love it. Honestly, I if you had asked me what I wanted to
That's Peter
see
Pan.
in a Rescue Rangers movie, I would have said none of this.
I know, right? Exactly.
But they didn't ask. They told us what we were going to like, and they're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean it's surprising. It makes me worried for the not worried. It makes me cautiously optimistic for the inevitable Darkwing Duck movie that's coming in the next 10 years. Right?
I'm on board for that as well. I'm on board. Darkwing Duck is an interesting one because he had like a backdoor pilot in the new DuckTales show. You watch it? Did you and your kids watch any of that?
We watched a couple of episodes. I think we watched a lot of the first season. I watched the Darkwing Duck episodes.
Yeah, I mean they were really good, and I was really hopeful, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Yeah, that is not actually leading anywhere." It's like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, no, Seth Rogen is working on uh, a Darkwing Duck reboot for Disney Plus or something. It's coming in like 2 years." It's like, why would you guys go to the trouble of reinventing Darkwing Duck in a really interesting and cool way, only to take it away again? That's sad. I really legitimately liked what they were doing with the whole Darkwing Duck angle that they had. But I guess we're not executives at Disney, as per
Mm,
my paycheck
yep.
shows.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, one of these days though, we'll get our foot in the door, and then we'll be calling the shots. All right.
Yeah.
Before we move over to our next topic, Thor: Love and Thunder, I'm gonna have us take a break so I can go refill my water cup, and then we'll be back. So like 2 minutes, and we'll be back. Don't go away. Stay and watch the thing.
Watch the
I
thing.
should
Brian spent a lot of time on
I
it.
should really get like some music that plays during the be right back. Right?
Sure.
We should. What music should
What
we get?
what we should do is we should make up a song and we should sing it and be like, da 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 da. Be right back.
That's the that's just the TJ Maxx song, you idiot.
Yeah, but nobody knows that anymore. This is really old. I haven't used that jingle in like 30
Maybe
years.
I'll dig up that wave file I have of the Homestar hold music where it's like doo 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 doo. It's a hold music doo 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 doo. Or maybe I'll just sing it.
I think you should definitely sing it. I would listen to
All
that.
right, 2 minutes. I'm getting water. Be right back. Bio break.
Water time.
Wait a minute. Which was the button? This one.
It's a good one.
I'm sending it back. Here we go.
Well, I gotta drink this stuff. Blah.
Okay, fine. Well, they get to watch you do it now. Okay, he's drinking coffee. It's
Ugh.
iced.
Blah.
He doesn't like it.
I hate coffee.
Coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere. Let me look right here. Boom. See that? The secret to
No
success, right there.
does.
One pill is like a glass of Mountain Dew. Seriously, it is. I believe it is literally the exact same. It's 200 milligrams. Mhm.
Is it 200 milligrams of caffeine in his glass of Mountain Dew?
Let me check.
Yeah, just you know what? Let's go
How
back to this.
much caffeine is in Mountain Dew? Caffeine in Mountain Dew. All right.
How many lows would a Rob Lowe's rob if a Rob Lowe's did Rob
All
Lowe's?
right. You ready? A
Sure.
a 12 fluid ounce can, a regular can of Mountain Dew, has 54 milligrams of caffeine. So this is just under 4 cans of Mountain Dew.
Hot dog.
Not quite. So anyway, as you may know, Pat, Elon Musk bought Twitter, or
Oh, did the check clear?
well, he entered into an agreement to buy Twitter, and now it's subject to SEC and shareholder agreement and all that. But yeah, in 6 months or so, we'll know whether or not he bought Twitter. Now, I'm not planning to leave Twitter because I like Twitter and I'm used to the dumpster fire. You know, but it did make me think I should probably get a website back up and kind of get away from being tied to a social media. You know, I don't know what to write
Uh-huh.
about. I don't know what to blog about. Like I could make it so it is just kind of like a microblog feed of my thoughts, and they would just cross post to Twitter or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I go through
See, you do art
mostly
a lot. I would see you like posting a lot of art. Like if you
right.
had a blog of
If
your own.
if if I if I did stuff, mostly I've come to the conclusion that the world at large could really give two shits about me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I don't ever post anything because all I think, like, I basically, now there's no secret here that we know some people that are perhaps oversharers,
Oh, yeah, okay.
that
I think
post
I think
things on the internet.
everybody knows someone like that.
Well, sure, and you're just like, I don't care about the game show that you're watching and that you know the answer and that they don't. Why would you share this with the world?
Mhm.
And it's stuff like that that makes you go, does anybody give a crap that I did this, or that I, went on vacation, or
Yeah, but that
not that I go on vacation, but you know what I mean? It's just like, for me, and I'm not knocking anybody, I mean, by all means, I wish that I had some sort of a following where people gave a shit, but I don't.
I
And
I lost.
it just, at a certain point, I realized that it's like, I mean, this is just masturbation. This is just for myself. Why am I doing this?
Moving on. I lost 3 followers during the Elon Musk saga. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard, but like tons of people of left-leaning people left Twitter, and tons of right-leaning people signed up when Musk announced he was
Oh,
buying it. And I lost three
why?
followers.
I don't. I mean, and this is again me being kind of ignorant to the world, I guess. Isn't Elon Musk more left leaning than right leaning, or is that not true?
Not in today's day and age, I would not say. I would not say
No,
no.
he's a right winger.
He's not. I don't think he's a like a crazy right winger, but he's definitely like I am buying Twitter specifically so that people can say whatever they want, and like all the other right wingers who keep getting banned
Oh,
can come back.
oh. See, I did not know
Yeah.
that. I'm cool with not being on Twitter.
Okay. So anyway, what I was going to get at was, if I have a blog,
Yeah.
it's not like if you don't care about what I have to say, you just don't go to the blog. Like that.
Well, right. I think blogs are the way to go,
Hmm. Yeah.
because that is where, like, because people will like, I will specifically sign up for updates about your blog because I want to know about the different
I
projects you're
could just I
working
could do
on, or
a
things that you would like to share.
I could do a newsletter instead. I could do an emailed newsletter, and every week would just be like, oh man, I forgot to come up with topics for the newsletter again. Sorry, that would be the whole newsletter.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. That's almost performance
Yeah.
art. Um,
But yeah, it's like when you're on Twitter, you put your thoughts out into the world, and if people don't like your thoughts, the response is either it's a range from unfollow to block to, try to get you fired from your job. It escalates
right.
rather quickly,
Right.
depending on how egregious your action your thoughts were to whoever was looking. But um, when you got a blog, it's like you said, it's like the oversharers. If they have a blog and you don't care about their sharing, they could still share there to their heart's content, and only the people who actually care will see it.
Right. And I honestly, I again, like, I feel like a blog is fine if it's just you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's more or less a diary, or a journal you're just willing to share with the world.
Yeah.
You know, Having a spot to just dump your thoughts, that's cathartic. That's great. I think that it's harder, and again, that this is probably because I'm getting to that point where technology is scary to me in my old set in ways. But like your Facebook and whatnot, it's like I said, people post things on Facebook, and it's like, I don't give a fuck about that. Why
That,
did you post
that's
this?
why I left. That's why I left Facebook for Twitter.
Yeah.
Specifically, was because I was like, I got tired of listening to the things my family posts, and I would rather look at things that
Sure.
complete strangers post.
Well, and that's why I like Instagram, because it's visual, not it's much less. Here's my thoughts about this topic. And it's much more. Here's a picture about this topic, which I can relate to more.
I
Uh,
I had more followers on Instagram than I have on Twitter now, and I deleted my Instagram because I very much dislike Facebook as a company. Um,
I hear that. I
Sometimes I
hear
think
that.
that was a bad choice.
I mean, I dislike Facebook, in general, and I tell you, they are. I can't remember what happened the other day, but that fucking algorithm, they're obviously listening to you. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, because there, I can't remember what. Oh, it was I was explaining the Scholastic beating out Marvel and DC in book sales to my wife, and again, I didn't search anything. I didn't. The link that I found was not on Facebook, but then all of a sudden I got all these listings for Scholastic uh superhero books. And I was like, you motherfuckers. Like, it's very obvious. It is clear what you're doing. Why?
Well,
Just stop.
when you say listening, do you mean like audio listening? Because
I don't know about
yeah,
audio listening. You know what I mean
they're
though.
almost certainly
They're
not audio listening, but like
right,
if you
right.
just
But they knew that I clicked on that
exactly yes.
article through whatever means it was, which was not through Facebook.
Right. No, there's probably they've got the
They
tracking
they
pixel.
knew
There's
it.
Facebook comments or Facebook social login on a website. They're just tracking everything you do on their
Right.
website, and they could link it back to you. They have a profile of you,
Yeah, not
whether
listening. It should be
yeah,
clear.
whether or not you're on Facebook, they have a profile of you, which is absolutely crazy.
Right.
Yeah, they when I I deleted my first. I'm on my third Facebook account right now, which I don't use it. When I deleted my first Facebook account on International Delete Your Facebook Account Day in like 2013 or something like that, or 14. I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
But no, 20. Yeah, it was probably around there, 2014 or so. In 2018, I spent a couple of months working for Facebook because I'm a consultant, so I do work with a lot of companies. And to do anything with Facebook, you have to have a Facebook account because that's how they like that's how you get access to their system. Like their Facebook account
Right.
is also you know, how you log into all of their tools and stuff. So I created a Facebook account and immediately, how many Brian Sokals are in the world, do you think? Probably
I
I
that I
know of
don't
at
know.
least four others because I've tried to
Okay.
get domain names from them. And sometimes their families accidentally email my Gmail account. Um, when I signed up, they recommended to me my entire family and no one else. So,
There you go.
yep.
There you go.
And that happened to me the third time I made an account because then I deleted that account and then I made a new account like an idiot a couple years ago, right around the pandemic. I was like,
Right.
I'll use
You
this to
gotta.
keep in touch with my family, and then I didn't because I immediately remembered why I didn't want to be on Facebook.
That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, I will tell you this as well. I hate how addicted I am to Facebook. But for me, like, I don't even follow people anymore. I mean, I do. Like, I've got my friends, like the ones that have been grandfathered in. I don't make new friends. You know.
Yeah, but we're in our late 30s here, Pat. We don't make friends anymore. That ship has
Right.
sailed.
That's gone. But I do find new, like, indie companies that I really like, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm on your Facebook page. We should, tell me when your new product drops, or like I am on so many toy boards. That's that for me. That's the fun slash why I'm constantly obsessively checking it, because like, oh, don't tell me I missed a sale. Dang, I missed all this cool stuff. That's what Facebook has turned into for me.
Yeah. You'd probably
Which
do
is
okay
which
on Twitter, but
it's
I think Facebook is probably a little bit better for your use case. Because,
Yeah, honestly.
Twitter, I know, I think I follow about 500 people. And
Uh-huh.
of those, I think I maybe know, like in real life, like 20 people,
Hmm.
So,
And I mean, I don't know, there, like I like being friends with LeVar Burton,
not really friends with
but
Barber,
not really friends. Like you're just like, oh, I'm just happy to know that LeVar Burton is doing things, and he posts on his Facebook about the things that he does, and you're like, that's neat.
Hmm.
I'm glad to see that he's doing things. Cool beans. Like I see and understand why businesses are on Facebook
Hmm.
and stuff, but I don't like it, but I obsess over it. Like, not obviously, like I said, not like my likes or anything, because that ship has sailed too. Where I I remember posting things and being like, oh man, two people liked it. And that's, what I mean. And again, like when you post something to Instagram and you tag it with a bunch of things, people are going to find it and like it. And you still might only get two or three likes,
That,
but
yeah, that's
you
100%
know,
true. I used to get tons of likes on things I would put from random people. Sometimes celebrities would put likes on my Instagrams, and yeah, Instagram's algorithm is much, and Facebook's too, is probably much better than Twitter's. If I get two
yeah.
likes on a tweet, I'm just like, man, this tweet's really doing numbers here. That almost
One
never
time,
happens.
Mel Brooks' official page liked my sketch of Mel Brooks, and I was just elated. Now, again, the idea that Mel Brooks himself has probably ever been on any of these social platforms, I think, is suspect. He's in his 90s. I doubt it. But somebody from his account thought my doodle of Mel was good enough to hit that like button. And then that's one of two celebrity encounters I've had. The other being the official Blues Brothers account, which is run by Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi's daughter. So one of the two of them liked my picture of Stay Puft Marshmallow Man getting blasted, and I gotta hope that that was Dan. And so again, just the notion that, and I'm sure that they probably these people probably go through, if they are in fact the ones that go through. Allegedly, they are the people. They're the two people who run the account. Um, but I'm sure they just go through the tags, and as long as nothing is offensive, they're just like, because it makes them more relevant.
Mhm.
But in my head, in my ego, Dan Aykroyd was like, "Hot damn, that is a cool picture of Mr. Stay Puft. Like that shit." And then if I ever run into him, I'd be like, "Dan, I'm the guy that drew that picture that you randomly liked 7 years ago on Facebook."
And he'll be like, I remember that one. That,
Right, right.
yeah, I think
Oh
about it.
yeah, the one with Stay Puft.
I finally
Yeah.
recall it frequently.
I said it's my lock screen on my phone.
I thought there was a way to see in Facebook, or not in Facebook, in Twitter, which of your tweets had the most engagement. I'm not seeing how to do that. I was gonna try and figure out which tweet was my most popular. Maybe I got to do it on the website and not in the app. Anyway, well, how about instead of that, oh hey, I think they got Batman the Animated Series on HBO Max now.
Oh,
Mm,
it's sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So
well, this is one of those
hopefully
times
it's
when it's
there.
there. All right, let's talk about the Thor.
The Thor. Well, you're right at the part that I want to talk
The
about the
the
most.
very beginning.
I love this sequence so much.
Right. So he's running as a kid, right?
Which, P.S. The kid that's running there is Chris Hemsworth's son.
Good. And then we've got running in absolutely perfect classic Thor
Perfect
costume.
fucking classic Thor. Ah, Taika Waititi, if I'm saying that correctly,
I
probably
don't think
not.
so.
Um, is the king of this shit. He's the only one who had the balls to put gloves on Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. And then what I really liked was like he was I can't remember what if it was an interview or if it was commentary for that scene or what have you, but he was saying something to the effect of like, I don't go in for all that geeky bullshit. I don't care what these comics are based on, right? It's just like, fuck you, man. I love you. Fuck you. That's amazing.
Hmm. Yep. And there we go. Then classic movie Thor costume.
Classic movie
I think
Thor.
that's the. Oh, hold on. Now he's on fire.
And now,
I'm pretty sure this is the costume from the first movie, not this one.
right.
But you
I
know what I
think
mean.
so too.
So anyway, here he is in I don't know, fair, fur armor Thor. I don't know what
Right.
this is. Um, but yeah, the whole point of this movie is like he's kind of retired. He's planted his tree, which is also a hammer, and he's going off to find himself, and then the Guardians are there too, and the music is good, as you can tell from the.
I like that they referenced the fact that he was still fat and that he had to work it off.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah, is this a reference? This dead thing?
I'm sure it is. To what I don't know. I was never a huge Thor guy, but
I wonder if that's a Watcher.
I don't maybe. I don't think they're that big in this universe.
Oh yeah, that's
Though cuz
true.
the Watchers are only slightly taller than Stan Lee.
Yep,
I love this outfit.
yep.
I'm buying this action
And
figure for
the Blue
show.
Man Group. You're talking not that. You're talking this, the Thunderstork
This,
outfit.
yeah. Yep.
I love it. He's still got the boots. They're really nailing the costumes in this movie.
They are.
This
Again,
if you all don't
what
know, this is
whatever his name
we've hit
is, he's doing it right.
we've arrived at 90s Thor. This is Thor Thunderstrike, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is this is the reference here. This is what we're going for. All right, where's my Chippendale? There we go. Yep, so that's what we're going for here. Live in the moment. Yep, and then they're off to do their thing, and he's just like, "All right, well, you guys have fun doing your thing. My superheroing days are over." But you still got Korg, his
Yeah.
corgi.
What is Korg wearing?
I
I am enjoying those pants.
I am too. I think it's. I mean, if you think about what Thor is wearing too, like I feel like they probably both went to the
Right.
same like resale shop,
Right.
and
Right.
they bought like this is like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck are both wearing different halves of the same outfit. I think that's what's happening here.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hmm. Then there's that weird thing,
Yeah.
this weird thing.
I like that they're bringing in other gods.
Yes, I do too. It's kind of funny that the Marvel ever since the original Thor movie, the concept in the Marvel universe is essentially like all of the gods exist in real life, except for probably the Christian god. All
Right.
of the other gods literally exist, and they're just kind of out there doing whatever they want to do. So this is I don't know who that is.
I
Who
don't
is
know
that?
either, but he's like a
Hashtag
pirate
probably
now.
God. There we go. I actually do like this outfit. I think it's growing.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's honestly it's the mask that I don't love.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. Without it, I feel like it's a pretty cool looking outfit.
It's not bad. I like I said, it's not classic Thor.
Yeah,
That's all.
this is this is Zeus throwing the lightning bolt. There's the lightning. You can see it on the left
Mhm.
or on the
Mhm.
right there.
Mhm.
The lightning bolt flying around. Lots of lightning bolts apparently.
Yep.
Boom. This is Zeus, right? I can only assume.
I am 99% sure, yes.
Is Hercules in this movie?
I we're going to have to see. Hopefully it's not Kevin Sorbo.
Hmm.
That guy's kind of a douche apparently.
This is. literally a like a one-to-one recreation from a comic book page. This scene, it absolutely
Mhm.
100%. I wish I could find it quickly, but I don't even know what to search for because I don't remember what comic it is. But this is literally a page straight out of a comic book, which Taika Waititi does not care about. Okay, then we're back here at New Asgard, where she's the president of New Asgard now.
Right, right.
Now we're back to what I can only assume is Mount Olympus here. This guy. How much of this movie do you think the Guardians are actually in?
I'm gonna guess just the beginning.
You think?
That's my because here I can't imagine. I maybe they'll show up in like a pivotal moment to help out, kind of a thing. But it's, it's very obvious that
Stare into his beautiful eyes, Pet. Stare into them.
I the second that Marvel realized that Chris Hemsworth is fucking hilarious is the second that Thor took over. This is why Thor has the most single outings of anyone because they realized that they were like, "Oh shit, we were trying to make serious movies with this guy when we should have been making comedies all along."
Mm-hmm.
Fucking right.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking right.
Yep.
Because I can't look at that face.
It's the perfect. Like he's not smiling,
It's,
but he's not like. I can't even describe. I think there's an
It's
emoji
just
for this with the squiggly mouth. I don't even know, but
yeah, yeah. It's so good. He is so funny.
who's actually behind
I
me here?
can't even.
So we
I
got
can't even.
Groot is taking a very long time to grow back up again. I feel like he got to like teenager age
Right.
very quickly, and now it's been like, I mean, since Guardians 2,
Well,
if you consider the
they
book and
right.
everything, it's been over 5 years. It's been
They
like a
said
decade.
that he like there it's not I'm sure there's a way to figure it out because I'm sure things happen in between placing. But there more time passed between baby Groot and teen Groot than people want to believe.
I want to believe.
Basically, like he what's his uh Gunn James Gunn said like there an appropriate amount of time had passed, just like their adventures continued.
Well,
The end.
yeah, I mean, because what? Because I mean, Guardians 2 was like 2017 or 2016, something like that. So
Something like
you
that.
count. So again, he was baby, not in the pot Groot, but he was walking around baby Groot in
Right.
that movie. And then so Endgame was like, well, like 6 years later, and then that had the 5 year time jump. So it was like you know he's like
Yeah,
oh,
but he was he disappeared for the 5 years though.
Groot.
Yeah.
So then he should be even younger.
No, that's just why it's taking so long for him to get older.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That tracks. Moving on with the
So
trailer. Nope, he's back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just listening. There you go. Love and Thunder. And then the best part, maybe that. Mm-hmm.
look at those arms. She buffed the shit up
Right?
or
Look at that.
makeup and CG. I don't
I'm
know, but
almost certainly we're looking at like a 100% CG scene here, but yeah, by the time they go through and like correct everything, with this is probably like a
right,
CGI arm at the very least, and I mean the hammer is certainly CGI. I bet the
right.
helmet is probably CGI. The hair is CGI. This whole thing is CGI. The background is entirely real. That's the only thing that's real.
Humans are no longer real. Everything's CGI.
Yep.
We're all living in a simulation.
She is a composite of I mean not necessarily all computer generated 3D models, but she is a composite of multiple things put together to create what appears to be a realistic image. That's just how they do it.
That cape's not. They don't wear capes in real
No.
life.
The cape is 100% CGI for sure. Every cape in this movie is
Um,
CGI.
this is awesome.
Mhm.
This is really awesome. I love her helmet. I love pretty much everything about the visual aesthetic of uh Thor here.
Yeah.
Um,
I've always loved that her helmet because she also looked like this in the comics that her
right,
helmet covers the eyes as well. So it's not just a hat; it's a mask as well.
Mhm.
Or Batman.
Or Wolverine.
Hmm.
Actually, it's much more Wolverine.
It's quite a bit Wolverine. Yeah.
Look at the way those sides come out. I secretly think, because very much the helmet that we've not seen in the movie trailers, but we have seen on the toys that Thor ends up wearing in this movie, is very Wolverine. And
maybe
I
maybe he like loses it and Wolverine picks it up and he's like, ah,
I just think that that like slowly but surely Marvel is like whittling away at the idea that that would be silly looking.
I don't understand why, out of all the nonsense in all of the Marvel movies, going back to Blade, if you look at all the nonsense in every Marvel movie, and why is it Wolverine's mask? That's the one thing they're like
Well,
that's
I
gonna
mean,
look ridiculous for sure.
to be fair, like no big actor wants to wear a mask in the movies because then they're not recognized as that character. You know, they're easily replaced.
I mean,
If you ask
so many
what
people
was
in
his
these
name? I
movies wear masks.
remember.
It's fine.
I don't disagree. I'm just telling, like, let's okay, think about Avengers. You know, Cap has his mask on, and then for like no reason at all, one of the Chitauri is like, "I'm gonna rip your mask off."
Yeah. And then that would just
So he
happen to
could be like,
Wolverine too.
"Oh no, I'm Steve Rogers. I There was no reason for me to cover my head anyway. Everyone literally knows who I am. I am the de-thawed guy from the '40s. Like, why do you cover your mask,
Because
your face with the
because
mask,
because
if not to keep your
Coulson
identity?"
believes in him. Coulson designed the costume as a symbol.
I
He
don't
doesn't wear he
disagree
does
with
not wear
that.
a mask at any point beyond that because you're right, it is pointless.
Right.
Wolverine would only wear the mask on missions. He would not wear it around the X Mansion in my hypothetical MCU movie, but he would wear it on missions because it's badass.
I still think that Wolverine, even though he's the guy with the giant claws that come out. Wolverine, one of my favorite moments in comic books. I can't remember if this happened in a throwaway like like a comic book that happened in the last like 10 years but was supposed to be retro, or if it was actually in one of the old comic books. I can never remember. But there's a point where Wolverine is Patch, and he has to reveal that he is Wolverine, like, to his cohorts, and they're just like, "Yeah, we know." It's like, you just put an eye patch on. You both still have this crazy haircut, and you have claws that pop out of your hands. And it's like, well, why the hell didn't you tell me? And they're like, would you tell your boss who has knives that pop out of his hands that his secret identity isn't working out? No, you just say, okay, Mr. Patch. And I love that. That is a Marvel legend whose time has come.
Yeah.
I would pay however much they need me to for a twins style Hulk and Wolverine, both in tuxedos, with Wolverine like leaning on Hulk.
Hey, you know what? You know what we forgot to add to the list here that came out last week, and then we didn't do the show last week. Was
Oh,
that new
what?
Marvel Legends Toad?
Oh, that's right. Oh, there's so many Marvel Legends things that were talked about and whatnot
I don't even know where
last
I was
week.
going to go ahead.
So Toad, my friend, if you scroll to the top there, none of
Uh,
those toads are the right toad.
I'm going to the this toy looks really cool. That Cyclonus there.
This is Love
These
and
guys,
Thunder toys. Those
yeah,
are
those are
looking
good.
good. I'm gonna buy several of
The
those.
Yamdalorian and
Not gonna do that.
Tot.
I think that is a that's a fun set. It's expensive as shit,
Yeah,
but it's a fun set.
yeah,
Oh man, you know what else we forgot to talk about
yeah.
is this packaging shift.
This,
I'm so glad you brought this up. No,
oh,
that,
yeah, okay,
like, that in the background, that's the package now.
yes,
I hate it.
yeah. There's no window.
There's no window, and on top of it, Like they just took pictures of the toys in like the blandest of poses. It's so lame.
Yeah, I think
Like if they
they
were gonna do if they're gonna do this, if they're committing to doing sealed boxes where you cannot see the product, which I don't think is gonna last, by the way.
I don't think so. I think this is
Uh,
just the latest in their attempt to figure out the cheapest way to package things.
well, and to be completely honest, there's a nostalgia factor here. You know, Migos used to come in boxes that were completely
Speaking of nostalgia
closed
factor,
in. Um, we'll get to you in a second, Toad. Um, but you know, like they had cool art on them though. Like I think that's the failure here is the what's on the front of the box should be on the back of the box. And I don't even know what's on the back of those boxes, but if it's not really cool art of the characters, then this whole thing was a waste. And also, like, why they really did not do well on Tom Holland's face.
no,
I love that. I love that. Go
they
back
did.
one.
Wait, hold on. They did good on his face.
They did. Go back one more. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
The the fat Spider-Man head. I'll be honest with you, I might buy this set just so I can turn that fat figure into me.
Okay,
Like
so
look, we're wearing roughly the same outfit.
that's true.
Just got to add a beard and a completely different face.
So this is the front of the box. This is the back of the box.
Yeah. 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 So the back of the box is not any better than the front of the box. In fact, it's worse. I don't know how, but it is.
Celebrating
Um,
the 60th anniversary of Peter Parker and Ned Leeds. They got married 60 years ago. It's hard to believe.
oh,
It's been so long.
that's sweet. That's sweet.
Look at
No,
them.
I dislike this, and let me tell you a couple of things. Let me tell you a couple of things.
Okay.
No, but seriously, how many times do you think people are going to steal these toys now? Because I mean, people used to buy them and then they would open them and they would stick a different toy inside the box, and I like it was awful. Like it was blatant. It would be wrestling figures shoved inside of Marvel Legends boxes, and they would rampant all over the place. You
Mhm.
know, this is going to be even easier. All they're going to do is carefully untape and retape the box,
Mhm.
and they might not even put figures inside. Maybe they'll put cough drops inside. Like who fucking knows? Like this is going to be a figure stealer's dream. And I mean, how you're never going to know. You're going to know when you get home.
Mhm.
You know, you're going to have to stand there in the checkout line and be like, "Well, hold on a second. I've purchased this and now I'm going to find out if what I want is actually in here because I'm not going to leave this line until I know."
Yep.
I've already seen shit tons of pictures of the budget Thor figures have hit, and they're all ripped open. Even though ironically the Marvel Legends versions did not get that treatment yet. The Marvel Legends are still in the regular packaging, but the budget figures are in the blind packaging. And the kids, I don't know, they're just ripping them open and looking what's inside.
We talk about this Toad figure.
It's Yeah, let's talk about Toad. Toad, I have mixed feelings about Toad here. I I think that it's pretty good overall. I'm excited to have a Toad that I can, I'm gonna purchase. Well, I prepay or pre-purchased rather. Um,
That's a good photo right there.
but he's not
Photoshop.
the classicest version of Toad. The most classic version. I don't know how to say it. Well, you know what I'm saying though.
Mhm.
He is kind of a mix of modern and old. Like his face isn't quite ugly enough for vintage Toad.
Mhm.
And his costume is still super ridiculous. Um, when it comes to old school Toad. It's interesting that they included this image with it because like, can you pick out what character he was supposed to be from this image? I couldn't. Um, that's cool. Why does he come with toads? I think that's dumb.
Those are his
Like
pet toads.
the character like never like associated with other toads. Well, I wouldn't say never, but it's not like it's one of his defining traits that he was like, and he hung out with toads. Um, and here's what grinds my gears is he is
Got all the
thirty four
logos on the back.
dollars. $34.
Yeah.
That is way too much for this figure. The fact that they were like, I get that, the the price point. This is where Hasbro gets greedy, because now the price point, they claim that he's this much because he's part of this exclusive Marvel Legends 20-year promotion. Now, if you look at the other figures in this set, you've got Cap and Iron Man, which are like just filled to the gills with extra pieces and cool stuff like that. And then you got the Hulk, who's a huge figure, and they have no problem charging $10 more for that. He's $45. And then you have this Toad who doesn't even fill up the package. Like, there's nothing behind that sticker.
This is why they put the frogs in to fill out
Right,
the price
right.
point. I'm not even joking.
I know they had to put something in there. They should have given us a third head, like a vintage looking head. That would have been cool.
Mhm.
Um, but even then, like, a third head would not make up for this amount of money. I am very upset that they are forcing me to pay $35 for this figure. But again, I'm the idiot who's here paying for it, because I know that it's probably the last Toad figure we're ever going to get, given that it took them 20 years to do a second one.
Right.
Um, so at least in my collecting lifetime, this is probably the last Toad figure I'm ever going to see. Um,
It's funny that
and again,
out of all the characters that people would be like, when are you gonna update the toy? It would be Toad. You know,
right.
like
Well,
if he
and what
wasn't like a wave one figure that never got an update, no one would care about Toad figures.
right. Well, no, that's not true. Come on now. We literally have the rest of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Mhm.
Every other character has had at least one figure, if not several.
What I'm saying,
Um,
if this was not, if there hadn't been 20 years before Toads, in between Toads, I should say,
right,
no one would
right.
be like, when are we going to get another Toad? You know,
True,
like
true.
we've only had like three Toads. When are we going to get another Toad? Like, you only care about Toad because we've been Toadless for so long.
And to be fair, though, this is actually the first Marvel Legends Toad, because the original Toad was left over from an X-Men toy line that was coming out with the movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they came out with two packs. I don't know if you remember. I had the Wolverine. It was very cool. It was the precursor to Marvel Legends. The Wolverine. They were very um, McFarlane-esque, with not a lot of articulation, but they had the detail. Like, the Wolverine had like chunks taken out of him that were very obvious, like saber tooth marks. And but the paint job was just beautiful, and you could see the stitching in the costume, like that kind of detail and everything was in there. And you got it as a two pack. You got a Hugh Jackman Wolverine figure, and you got this comic book Wolverine figure. That was meant to also be the very first Marvel Legends Toad, was from that wave that they canceled before it went to production. But they were like, well, we got this Toad laying around, why not make it a Marvel Legend? We'll round out the first wave of these to four guys. I mean, it's such a weird choice. You had Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and
And
Toad,
Toad, yeah.
and it was just because the figure was ready to go. They already had it from the X-Men line that just never
Hmm.
got off the ground, which is also why it has so much more limited articulation versus the rest of the figures in the line.
Well, not this one.
So again, speak, to that point, this is our first real Marvel Legends Toad, which I'm very happy of. I did find I found my blob that you gave me, so I've really got all of my guys ready to go. I can't wait to, like, stick Toad on Blob's shoulder, and just have the whole set of the evil mutants ready to go.
Well,
I've never.
it says you'll get it
Uh,
on December 1st, which means you'll probably get it sometime about a year from now.
right, right, absolutely. I've never really counted Wanda and Pietro as Brotherhood of Evil Mutant characters.
Why not? They're on the comic books.
Because
Look at them.
they, well, you know what? They've never put out like
There's
the
not
Green
Polaris.
Starlet Witch.
No.
And then you know what? I have the guy in the background here. I can't ever remember his name. Do you know his name?
This guy?
Yeah,
The guy that I'm trying to get into the center of the screen?
I can't. Not Magneto,
Yeah.
the other guy. Not
The
Toad, the
the
other
guy who
guy.
looks like Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That is. I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? He's not that cool. But anyway, we finally got a figure of him in the Amazon exclusive Wolverine 5 pack. But really, is it Mastermind? Is that his name?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah,
I'm bad.
he
I'm
looks like
always
a
bad at the
Mexican.
Hellfire Club because
Uh,
they have like four characters that are like so similar.
the Hellfire Club is just one guy in different outfits.
Yeah, there he is. The funny thing about the toy that we got is it's not really him. Like it comes with his head, but like part of his, shtick is that he's an ugly weirdo, but he uses his mind control powers to make you think that he's like an attractive, bizarrely fancy, Revolutionary War era type
Yes.
fella. Um, and so it's more that figure. Like it kind of looks like from the neck down, he looks like he's in the Hamilton musical. And then he's got like a very fancy head. But then you can also switch it to the other guy. But like anytime that it was actually Mastermind, he was wearing that weird type of like shoulder cloak thing,
Mhm.
and you definitely did not get that. I really wish that that was a commonplace coat that I could find for a figure because I recognize him more that way than any other way.
Yep. All right.
So
We got. What did I open this? I didn't mean to open you. Sorry. That's a really cool toy, though. I love those
it
sticker books.
looks
Anyway, uh, Thor, Thunderstrike. I'm looking at. There we go. Okay, so, um, I actually think we're done talking about this trailer because this is the end, right?
yeah, yeah, that's it's just we see Jane, we see that it's July.
Yep. Jane in July.
This is gonna be a fun couple of months.
Hmm.
So
So, real quick. Oh, I go back to the beginning. I love this trailer, not trailer. I love this the opening for the new Star Trek show, Strange New Worlds. This is, as you can see from the subtitles, like Christopher Pike is giving the classic narration from the original series, and then the theme song is kind of like a cool, interesting remix of the original
right.
theme, and the visuals are really cool because you can kind of see like pieces of the openings of like every other Star Trek show, while it's just flying around different locations. And I just think this show is going to be really good. These characters have been on Star Trek Discovery. This ship has been on Discovery. Like this is a Star Trek Discovery spinoff, essentially. And so what this is the this takes place during the like one of the two 5 year missions. I think this is late in the second 5 year mission that Pike was captain of the Enterprise before Kirk took over.
Hmm.
Because I believe they've already cast Kirk for the show, and he's going to be on it in some capacity. Um,
That's fun.
yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this because it's classic Enterprise. I don't know if you've seen like the what the uniforms look like from when these guys were on Discovery and stuff, but
I've seen pictures of him on Discovery for sure.
yeah, they just did a really good job of modernizing, better than some
Yeah,
of the other current Star Trek shows have done. The look and feel of the Enterprise really does feel like modern retro.
yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping that it's gonna feel like old school Star Trek. I would love just, and not even old school Star Trek, just old school sci-fi.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
Like it doesn't have to look old school, although I would love more practical effects than not. Every time I see that Gene Simmons bass ad
I
that keeps
know, right?
popping
What
up,
is that?
I think of Beekman's World.
That's what I thought
He
it
looks
was
like he looks like Beekman,
for a long
right?
time. It does. That's why I keep going back. 'Cause I'm like, I don't want to look at Beekman.
Anyway, um But yeah, I could just go for some classic monster of the week slash over. I don't I like overarching stories, but I also like monster of the week stuff. So
Yeah,
give me a little mix of both. You know
I
what I
would
mean?
I would really like it if they it did kind of like the hybrid storytelling of like it's monster of the week. We're still advancing a plot throughout the season, but
Right.
it's not just like a 13-hour long movie. It's like
Exactly.
we're going to this planet and we're going to deal with a thing here while still advancing the plots and growing the characters. Like if maybe there's something
Absolutely.
happening on the ship
Absolutely.
that's carrying over from episode to episode, but like we're still gonna go to a different place every
The
time. And
the plot of each episode needs no other explanation
right.
than that episode. Like that's one of the things I love, and I mean this goes back to kind of what we were talking about with comics and everything. I loved being able to sit down to a next generation episode 99% of the time. You could sit down and watch a next gen episode and you didn't have to know what the hell was going on. There were plots, there was that, people were bearded or not bearded or in red uniforms or gold uniforms. And so things were obviously happening, things were progressing. Sometimes characters were in relationships, sometimes they weren't, and blah 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 blah. So again, you had that overarching storytelling, which is fun, but you were also able to just sit down and enjoy like an episode of sci-fi fun.
Hmm.
You know, was it going to be heavy-handed? Maybe. Was it going to be silly? Maybe. Was it going to be fun? For sure. Was it going to make you a little, tug on your heartstrings? There's a good chance. It's a good chance. But I mean, that was the beauty of it. That's the beauty of Star Trek, if you ask me, is that the show is equally able to make you smile or think or cry or all of those things maybe in the same episode when it's done really well. you know
Hmm.
this is all very cool, whatever you're showing us here.
Yeah,
what what
this is
is
the
this?
actual trailer for the show. Like I
Ah.
know there's some like purists out there who are like, why is it filmed with modern filming techniques and CGI
Oh.
and stuff? And I'm like, I think that looks I wouldn't expect it to be filmed
I
old school,
wouldn't either,
you
as
know.
much as I wouldn't mind if it was. Well, I'll
Hmm.
say that. I miss. That's why even when shows are not my favorite, like Big Bang Theory or whatever, like ultimately that show was like okay, but when I go back and watch it, it still feels, it gives you that nostalgic sitcom feel. You
Hmm.
had sets, it was a four camera setup. I actually hate the office style
Yeah, the
shaky cam
documentary. Yeah, I
documentary thing.
I do
Only
too.
reason I give The Office a pass is because it legit paid off.
Right, and it was a relatively new kind of a
Right,
concept,
right.
and
But
then
again, like at the end of the show, which I actually just rewatched. I had never seen the last couple of seasons of the show. But I watched from beginning to end. I watched the whole Office over the last couple of months, and the payoff at the end of that, the last season payoff was so good. The fact, have you ever watched all the way to the end?
no, I've
Did you?
watched like the first 3 seasons or 2 seasons. I don't even know. Not
So
anywhere near to the end.
at the end of the show, they legitimately, like all of a sudden they start calling more and more attention. Like there was this side plot with um um, Pam and the boom mic guy, and they're like friends, and they then and like Pam and Jim and go to dinner with them, him and his wife sometimes, and so there's all this like, oh, it's so weird that they're calling attention to the fact that somebody is literally filming them, and it's like, and but by the end of the show the film comes out, the documentary hits, and there's all this blowback, and like people get fired, and then I saw on I think it was, maybe it was Howard Stern or something, it was an interview with the guy who plays Kevin, um in the show, all they show is like he owns a bar. Like he got fired because he made up a number called Cleven. Whenever his stuff wouldn't add up, he would just add it with Cleven and it would magically add up. So he got fired, and then you just see later that he's owning a bar. But he's like, they filmed why I own that bar, and it's because Kevin is a secret genius. And every time he would go to the bar after uh the documentary came out, he was like a fan favorite, and everybody would want to buy him a drink. And so he just started a tab with all of this money that people were paying on to buying him drinks, and he wasn't taking the drinks, he was just taking the money, and it got to be so much that he used it as leverage to purchase the bar. It's just, it's wonderful things like that. It's beautiful little things like that. Why are we talking about this though? Shaky
Because
cams,
of
I
the
hate
shaky
shaky
cam stuff. Yeah.
cams.
I'm
But
watching on the
I
trailers while you're talking.
well, that's fair. um i I do legitimately I'm okay with things when they are appropriate. Like I said, that was a the whole idea of the shtick was that uh they were being filmed legitimately. And then but like my wife really loves the show Friday Night Lights. I don't know if you've
Yeah, I know.
have
I've never
experienced
seen
that,
it, but I
but
know the show.
you know what it is. But it's the same thing. They like it's this shaky cam, like people are filming conversations from like 20 feet away, so there's like these zooms and shake,
Yeah.
but there is no subplot where they're supposed to be being filmed. That so it's just like when you're watching, you're like, am I creepily like in the fucking bushes like watching this happen? Like
Right. Are you Mr.
I
Sinister
don't
filming
like
the X-Men
this.
so that you could show it to Callisto later?
Right, exactly.
That's
It's
my
like
that's my that's my
I was
headcanon for how they always have footage of the X-Men doing things.
that's my favorite. um but yeah, it just I don't like it as a style, and I don't like that it kind of like became like the way that drama is presented. Like drama is presented through these stupid shaky cam things. You know, every cop procedural show was shot that way for a while, and it's just like I hate it. On top of the fact that I think it's stupid, it legitimately is like it'll make me sick
Mm.
after a while. Like it's shaking all over, and it's like
Yeah.
I
The
I don't care for
the
it.
handheld camera technique, even not just like the
Right.
documentary aspect, but just like the idea that we don't have a steady cam. We're just someone is walking around with a camera to make it more realistic or to put you in the thing. Like they did this on Battlestar Galactica, where it was like anytime they showed outside footage, they would have it was supposed to be like footage from one of the outside security cameras of another ship. And so it would be
Uh-huh.
like, through the fast zoom and everything on other things, it's like, yeah, it's exactly the same, but now it's outside in space.
But I mean, at least that's something. You know what I mean? Like at least they're saying like, oh, it's footage from a outside ship. It's footage from security cameras. Like that makes sense. If you tell, like I said, the whole office thing makes enough sense because they were set up to legitimately be filmed and interviewed. All of that makes good sense to me. But when you're just making shit up and there's no reason for it at all, it really gets to me.
Mhm.
It bothers me a lot. So what are you watching?
I'm watching the YouTube recommended the honest trailers for Star Trek: The Next Generation, so I got it playing in the background.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I thoroughly enjoy Star Trek The Next
That's the
Generation,
worst
so
episode. No, it's not the worst episode, but that
it's
that is
not
the
the
one where she has
worst,
sex with
but
the candle ghost.
yes, I very much recall. So
Well, anyway,
so
maybe you and I will watch that later for our own amusement.
we should
I got
we
one
should.
last topic that we're gonna cut
Let's
over to
do
the
it.
last one. See this thing?
Oh god.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Fucking
get out of
shit.
here without talking about this. I enjoy custom figures. I have paid people for custom figures. I've
This is
bought
not
things on
that.
eBay. that are customized one of a kind figures. You know, sometimes the quality is not great, but like people can do some pretty amazing things to turn one figure into another figure, you know. And I looked at this and I thought, well, that's something that is not worth $400.
Yeah. I I'm gonna see if I can find what I would pay good money for.
Like I
Which is
was
not
I
this.
was trying to figure out like was this, and you maybe you know because you're the masters guy, but is he trying to mimic this pre-existing artwork or is this
No,
artwork of this
no.
figure?
This is that is artwork from this. That picture I actually believe is the current stock art of Skeletor from the Origins line that this artist has defaced. And this is the kind of thing that drives me nuts, is that this guy is a well-paid artist, and I'm not.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
this is just like because this is not like a one-off custom figure. This is like a thing that is created. So like these are molded in this color. It's not just like someone was like, I'm gonna paint it pink and whatnot. Um, it's just like the weirdest color scheme that doesn't
right.
reference
So
anything.
let me see if I can find. I've got to find his. Um, they're still available. There's only a few left.
Yeah.
Act
I just
fast.
like
Um,
I always feel like people should be free to express themselves however they like, right? If you want to
yeah.
make
I mean, I
if you're just like I think Skeletor with like a neon pink armor and neon green, I guess, front of his boots is that's how I've always envisioned Skeletor. Um, go for it. I love it. I actually really dig this artwork, to be honest. I think it looks awesome. But like, how do you determine that the market is like this thing is worth $400? Is it the cost of
well.
materials only? Are we? Is this one of those like how we determine the cost of NFTs where they're just like, yeah, it's got to be like $1 million.
Right. Well, that I mean, I think that this one is pretty spot on in that realm. I don't. I just sent you a link to a previous release. Um,
What?
there's an
Hold
artist.
on.
This artist,
I have to
this
press and hold to prove I'm a human. Stand by.
Madsaki. Is that how you'd say that? I don't know.
Who? The guy who
Um,
made it?
the guy who made this, and he also made a He-Man and Battle Cat version, and he had like a big art show where he had like life-size versions of He-Man and Skeletor,
Yatsaki.
um doll, characters, made up in like 6 and 7 foot tall versions. And then so he had these like beautiful recreations made. I don't know if he made them himself. I doubt it, given the state of modern art. I highly doubt that he actually made them himself, but he had them made, or he made them, one of the two, and then he defaced them. I don't understand the draw here. I don't get it. And maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm just not cool enough
This
to understand, but
this feels like one of those things that's like it's not this thing is not valuable because it's like a high quality item or like the pinnacle of the craft or anything like that. It's just this is a rare thing that is off the wall and therefore someone will pay a lot of money for it, but it's definitely not for everyone. And whoever's buying it, it's either going to be just like, I must have this because it is so crazy, and it'll be like a point of pride. I got the pink battle cat,
here
or it's like the one person who's, always been like, I really want the pink armor battle cat with the crying mascara He Man.
here pull this up, and this is the original art show. um he's a Japanese artist that reflects on traumatic childhood experiences, I
See
guess.
now, actually, that is something. I mean, it's a different kind of thing. Like this is we're taking something that's like a normal childhood thing and I'm throwing my emotions at it. Like this I understand. Like I don't understand it, but like I understand the draw of this as art. Like the defacing of the thing because it's like my, it represents my childhood, but my childhood was, for whatever traumas I had, it's like this is, it's corrupted my childhood and everything. This kind of thing just looks like um I got this toy that was really bad and I felt like destroying it with a marker.
Well, yeah. I mean, so here's what the description of this art show says. Now, again, like I assume, and this perhaps is a big assumption. I really don't know. I assume he painted those paintings in the background, which are just versions of the mini comics.
Mm,
Um, to whereas how he painted them is, here's the thing. I am super jaded by the art world, especially when I found out things like, you know, douchebags like oh, what's his name? Is Jeff Koons?
mm.
Is that a person?
I'm sure it is,
Um
yeah.
pretty
Oh, yeah.
much any modern artist, if you ask me, is a fuck. That generally speaking doesn't do most of what, like I would respect the shit out of this guy, and maybe he is, if he legitimately made that He-Man and Skeletor, like if he himself like figured out how to blow him up, maybe he built him with 3D or whatnot, and put those things together and then painted them and then defaced them for some reason. Now again, like if you read here about why these things are important to him, the year was 1980. Mitsaki, which I'm sure I'm messing that up, was 6 years old and had just relocated from Osaka, Japan to Bergen County, New Jersey, with no English skills whatsoever. Strangers mocked him with racist taunts, which is awful. While his classmates were friendly, he still couldn't fully blend in, feeling a thick wall between them. So instead of playing with friends after school, he often ended up watching cartoons at home alone, and was particularly obsessed with He-Man and Masters of the Universe, an animated series based on Mattel's Masters of the Universe toy line, said the gallery in a statement. In other words, He-Man built a bridge for the artist between two cultures, fundamentally shaping the core of his personality. 1984 was the year Mitsaki entered or mastered English. 1984 was the year Masters of the Universe had reached its peak of its boom. So the show's title was 1984. Blah 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 blah. Fast forward a little bit here, and I don't understand why he's defacing them. Like this is like, it's not even pretty graffiti. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
Like
that story
I
doesn't link back. Like if I looked at this, I mean, it's got 2020 written on it and stuff, but
it does with sad faces,
yeah,
and
when I
and it's
when I
poorly done.
when I look at this, I see like the emotion that I feel is like um I was trying to enjoy this thing in my childhood, but the world ruined it or something like that. Which is
Exactly.
like
Or
it's kind of like
something
the
to the
opposite.
effect, like the kid whose mom invented Sunman. Like if he made this, I could get behind that. Where he's like, I had He-Man, but He-Man didn't have me. Like that's the kind of thing that I feel like this is showing. And so to me, this looks like edge lord bullshit.
Mm,
This looks like somebody's like, hey, I either created or had created a giant replica of He-Man and Battle Cat, which were things that were actually very important to me as a child, and then I very poorly painted on them and I defaced them. And when you deface something, it's usually a statement in that you don't like it.
right.
You know what I mean? Like if you came upon a statue of He-Man and Battle Cat in the public eye and a bunch of people had defaced it, you might think that those people were probably not fans of it, or at least didn't respect it in any way.
Yeah. This like I could like you're definitely right. And I could see if you explained it to me, like I could see some way that this could somehow be like a positive thing, that like it's representative of something, but just like reading the story there of where he was just like I was having a really hard time and He-Man got me through it. It was the thing that got me through it. And
Right.
I'm just
And so
well,
I
okay, well
turned
then why did
around
you
and
do this?
defaced all my toys of it
Yeah, like
because I'm
I'm
a
not
little
seeing the metaphor.
psycho.
Yeah, I mean to each
If
art
if
is
this
so
is how his
subjective,
toys
but
if this is how his toys looked as a child, he should have seen a therapist.
I don't know. A lot of kids drew on their toys and because they thought they were artists, and then maybe I mean, if it was like, well, I tried to make them really cool looking and they always turned out terrible like this, then I'd be like, oh, okay, well the story makes sense here. Like without knowing any of the story, I look at this and I think like this is really cool, and I would love to know the story behind this because clearly this person has some feelings and they're expressing it in a way that I've never seen before. But then you read the story and I'm like, oh, well, okay,
Do you want to know what I thought the very first time I saw this?
sure.
I honestly thought, "Oh my god, somebody defaced this art installation."
Yeah, that that
Like
too.
I legitimately thought I was like, "Okay, so somebody cuz you look at the background, you got all these covers of the old Masters of the Universe things that are seemingly relatively lovingly recreated, you know? And then you have the toys themselves, larger than life. This is humongous.
Mhm.
And it's defaced. Like it's not to be made look cooler. I've seen graffiti that looks awesome. You know, if good graffiti artists got a hold of this toy and did neat things to it, I'd be all over it.
Yep.
No skill went into this. The only skill that went into this is, like I said, the recreation of He-Man and Battle Cat is very cool, and obviously somebody very skilled created them. If this guy was the person who did that, I give him a lot more props. My guess, though, based on his sloppy bullshit that he passes off as artwork, is that he did not have much of a hand in creating these large pieces. He probably commissioned them from somebody who took a digital scan, made them much larger, and then proceeded to deface them. So, for my money, which is what Mattel will not be getting for this BS artwork, I think this is bullshit. I think this is the epitome of why I hate modern art. And I don't mean modern art by like art that comes out now, like the specific genre of modern art.
Yep.
Modern art is exactly this kind of bullshit. When I again, like I used to have delusions of thinking these guys were pretty cool, you know, like your Lichtensteins and what. And then it turns out that all they were doing was literally stealing artwork from actual comic books and then creating them larger and then presenting them as their own. And that is complete bullshit. You know, there was not an original thought there, except for they said, "I like comic books. I'll make them bigger."
Yeah, it's
Like that's not art.
it's
That
like
is that is bull.
you can have someone do something and then you do something else to it that's transformative that makes it new, different art. But yeah, like just taking something someone drew and making it larger is not.
Right.
That's
And
like a
then the
service at FedEx
exactly,
Kinko.
exactly. The only art, and this is something that my wife and I get into arguments about all the time. The only art I see in modern art is the art of bullshitting. The art comes in those little plaques next to it explaining why this painting is all white, or explaining why, you know, pile of rubble used to be a statue. um but it's so edgy and it's so beautiful. It's not. It's a pile of bullshit. It's somebody who's feeding you bullshit and you are eating it up. And I'm
And
sorry for you.
I
Any modern art lover out there who might be watching this, I feel sorry for
the
you.
the thing that gets me so much about this one is that in order to I can appreciate this as art, but only if I reject the intention of the artist. Right?
Right. Well, and I mean, art is subjective,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, that's true. If the notion that the artist was trying to honor Masters of the Universe in any way, or show that it was something that helped him get through troubling times, is completely lost on these. And again, I am sure that this man made so much fucking money off of these. So much money. Because obviously he wouldn't be being courted by Mattel to make smaller versions that they can sell for $400 a
Mhm.
piece if he wasn't successful in
Yeah.
this.
It's like this
And
to me is like it's divisive in my mind as to whether or not I appreciate it, but going back to this, this is clear cut. This is nonsense to
Right,
me.
right. Now I want to ask just for thought. We've never had much of art discussions, you and I, which is funny. We should have more. But those paintings in the background of the He-Man thing, where it's just the comic book covers redone.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on this?
Um,
Now this
they're
is
not they're not
almost
very good.
exact recreations with I would even go as far as to say I believe that the artist probably projected the original artwork onto canvas and then recreated it from there.
This one at the very end is reminiscent of the new Masters of the Universe Roblox game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I can see because they have Roblox
yeah,
face.
yeah. I mean, these aren't like they're I mean, they're better than
I mean,
anything I could do. I'll give them
here's
that.
something
They're
I've
just not
all well, you know what? I wouldn't put it I would say that what if you got it because again, I don't know for sure how they did this. I'm just telling you how I feel what I feel happened. Given that the person can't draw straight twos and zeros with a spray can, I'm doubting their drawing skills. And so you set up a projector, projects an image on a screen. You do your best to just trace and recolor and do things like that onto some canvas. This was a question that actually came up when we first had our comic book store. You remember that art show we had there? You remember?
yeah.
Um, there was a Rorschach painting, and not that somebody painted Rorschach, but somebody painted the character of Rorschach. But specifically, it was literally just a panel from Watchmen that they recreated as perfectly as possible. And where I can see somebody trying to sell that at like Hobby Lobby, I don't see that as a good
Like you're
reason to.
it's when you have a when you have an art display, and maybe people can disagree about the purpose of an art display, but I would be like, if I was doing some sort of an exhibit, the purpose
Mhm.
would be for me to be like, hey, look, this is where I'm at in my craft, and I would like you to appreciate the skills that I have and stuff like that. And if I just traced a bunch of stuff and colored it with colored pencils, that's the kind of thing that I would show my grandma and be like, hey, look at how good I'm getting, but not the kind of thing that I would put in a museum, because, like, I don't know, like this is okay. I mean, like, I wouldn't be paying money for this, and if I was at a museum, I would just be like, okay, if this feels like someone said, like, hey, could you just draw up a couple of things for tomorrow's opening? You know,
Right, right. These feel unfinished to me, very unfinished.
like these are not part. These
They
should not be part of the exhibit. These would be like the decoration for the exhibit or something like that. Like,
sure, sure. But I'm willing to bet that each one of those sold for thousands of dollars.
yeah, I mean,
Because this person has
that's art.
a name now, especially that they're now they've worked with Mattel
I
officially.
mean,
You know what I mean?
I
Like
adore my Outback comics, Pat.
me too, me
Okay,
too. I
so I
do.
think it's possible to appreciate something that is utter garbage that has
That is true.
a
That is
certain
true.
je ne sais quoi to it.
I mean, there is definitely a market for it's so bad it's good. That I'm not arguing that. I am arguing more or less the when people look at the integrity of an artist and an artwork and the amount of time and ability that goes into art, it always pisses me off when you can see that somebody kind of half-assed a bunch of shit and they're making it. That's what always
Yeah, when
gets
you're
me.
like, you know what? I could just literally throw a bucket of paint at a wall and make a lot of money. Like someone
Yeah.
did that, I am definitely on the side of like if you're the person who just splatters a bunch of paint on the wall, I mean, maybe it's sure it's art. I'll call it art. It's fine. Is it good? Did it take
Right.
skill? If literally anyone could do it, you know,
Well, and that's the argument that I always get in with Amanda, and she'll tell me, because I say like I could do that, anybody could do that. She'll say, yeah, but they did do it, and you didn't do it. And it's like that does not sound like a good reason for them to be rich and famous,
mhm.
and
That
for me
sounds like
not to be.
a good
Now
reason to
again,
get some likes on a social media and not to get paid a bunch of money.
right, right. Jackson Pollock is one of my least favorite artists, um, just because 99% of what he did is literal garbage. Is literal garbage. Things that you well, I have in my home. My daughter loves to paint. She loves to paint. She paints abstract pictures. She paints characters. She does all sorts of things. For an 8-year-old, she is amazing, I think. Again, I'm biased. I'm her father. But she has produced several pieces of abstract art that are beautiful, like legitimately. She did a watercolor painting when she was 2 that has no rhyme or reason because she was 2. It took no skill for her to make because she was 2.
Mhm.
But it was a legitimately beautiful piece. And we actually it was hanging in our bathroom for years, and it only isn't now because the frame broke. But it is a legitimate piece where I look at it all the time, and I'm like, the bizarre nature of the splatters and the strokes makes them truly beautiful things, but it is all accidental. It is all. But if I took that legitimate same piece of artwork and pretended it was mine and said that I was doing this because of this, and I made that little placard bullshit up well enough, it could sell for thousands of dollars easily, hundreds of thousands of dollars
Mhm.
perhaps. Most of which is because the art world is really a bunch of corrupt
It,
assholes that take advantage of tax
yeah, it's
loopholes.
just I
But
mean it's you know NFTs are just the evolution of that, right?
absolutely,
Where you don't even have to
absolutely,
have a physical thing anymore.
absolutely, because then you can say, "Oh no, I made art and I sold art and somebody valued my art at a lot of money for God knows why, but they did, and so I'm rich and famous and people love me and want me to continue spewing out garbage." When there are people, and again, I'm bitter because I make T-shirts for a living and not
And
fun
nobody pays you
stuff,
$1,000 for one shirt.
and nobody pays me $1,000 for ruining a Skeletor, um, and that I guess that's the thing is like I could spend hours or days or weeks building uh a I don't know My Little Pony version of Skeletor that is liked by handfuls, but certainly not beloved or anything. And this guy just splatters some paint on an existing toy design and is Mr. Fancy Pants
And
McGee.
I think part of it is also that whoever whoever saw this art and decided to make it an art exhibit was just like, oh, nerds are gonna love this. We can
Right.
definitely
Right.
exploit the nerds for this.
Yep. I mean, we are an exploitable class right
Oh
now.
yeah,
Absolutely.
constantly.
Well, and the interesting thing is that, and then this is something that they're gonna find that is very exclusive now to our generation, um, because we were still raised on mostly 5 TV channels. There was no other option. You watched He-Man, you watched Transformers, you watched GI Joe, you watched Thundercats. you know they were
I
there.
watched She-Ra, I watched Gem, I
Sure,
watched all the girls shows
sure.
too because you watched what was
Because yeah,
on.
you have Or you had a sister in the house. I had a sister in the house. I watched all those shows. I watched the Care
Hmm.
Bears. I watched the Smurfs and the Snorks, which were gender neutral. I watched Strawberry
Yep.
Shortcake. You know,
And I
I even
watched
had
a
I
lot of
had
the shows too.
merch from those stores. Yeah, I had merch from those. I had toys from those. I actively wanted a She-Ra action figure. I needed a She-Ra action figure in my collection. Um, but again, it's something that the kids of today, there are way too many options now, and so there is no community thing anymore that they can just all say, "Oh my gosh, you watched Daniel Tiger, right?" And half the kids maybe, the other half the kids watched Caillou or some
Yeah.
garbage,
Or like it's
and
something on YouTube.
you know to avoid them.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like
Our our
it's so much
our
more.
generation of kids is going to be like, were you a Netflix kid or were you a Disney Plus kid? You know, what did you
Right,
grow up
right.
with? Like we grew up,
What did you
you
watch?
know,
We were like, did you have
yeah, exactly.
cable?
That was what I was gonna say.
Oh, well, I didn't have cable, so we don't have a lot to talk
Yeah.
about.
Like I grew up watching VHF channels and you grew up watching Nickelodeon and we
Yeah,
have no
yeah,
share we have no share like that's going to be exacerbated so much, in Gen Z
exactly,
or
exactly.
whatever the next one is.
Uh, and that's it's a very interesting thing that they're not going to have these things where like I said, like any dude of certain age, I can be like, guess what, dude? I own like the entire Masters of the Universe collection, and not see that twinkle in their eye where they go, "Can I come see it?" Because it's a shared experience. It doesn't matter if you're an adult now. That is a thing that is always going to be like a part of who you were when you were young. And maybe you're not as crazy as I am, where you feel like you want to collect the whole damn thing again, but seeing it again is really cool. you know
Mhm.
like I said, the having and sharing of Marvel trading cards was still a huge thing for our generation. But I mean, like, you didn't even collect them, really, did you? You had some
What, Marvel cards?
Marvel
No, I didn't.
cards.
I had like one or two.
You didn't have
Nah,
any?
I
I
wasn't.
thought you
No, I look at
I
yours.
feel like you had like a binder.
Nah, I didn't. I wasn't a binder guy.
All right, fair
I had a
enough.
binder of compact discs.
Yeah, so did
Hmm.
everybody.
Well, I mean, you had to. What else are we gonna do with
Did you have a binder of comic books?
it?
I don't know why I
What
feel like I have this memory of being in the house that I'm in right now, which is Brian's childhood home, um, and looking through a binder with you of, I mean, maybe it was mine. Maybe I brought over my Marvel
probably
cards and we were
yours?
just hanging out,
Yeah.
w- going through
I
them.
mean,
But
I'm trying to think if I had. I mean, I had a box of baseball cards, but I never really showed them to anybody.
yeah, I mean, I had baseball. Well, that was the funny thing. I was so into baseball before I figured out how much more I'm into comics. But I was so into baseball when I was young, and now I could give two shits.
Mm.
um, you know what I do remember? This is just one of those random random memories that it's always stuck with me. We were here. We were having a play date. I want to say it was kindergarten time,
Yes.
and you had an April O'Neil
Yes, I
figure,
did.
and I did not at that
Hmm.
time. And I had to, like, I was like, can I borrow this for a second? And I had to, like, run downstairs into the kitchen that I'm sitting in right now and show my mom, like, this is the one. This is the April I need. And then running back up and playing turtle figures with you.
I remember that day very clearly. I think it was one of the few times that you came over to my house in grade school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't do a lot of play dates,
No.
but
No, because we were kind of like friends in like kindergarten and stuff, and then we weren't friends for a couple of years, and then we became
I
really
don't
good
feel like we
friends
were
in like
ever
junior
not friends. We were just, like, not in the same
high. Right.
class. That was a big
Yeah.
divider. Whereas, like, if we weren't in the same class, it was hard to be friends. But we always sat together at lunch.
Not always.
That was like that was almost forever.
Yeah. There was like a
Almost
3 year
forever.
period where we did not.
Fine. I don't remember
I
this, but
remember
okay.
exactly who I sat next to every single day. Anyway, this is the end of the show, Pat. We've reached it. It's over.
All right.
Uh,
This is a good one.
it was. I enjoy this. I've learned a lot about my opinions of modern art today, which is that I am very confused by it, and I'm probably going to have to ponder whether or not something is art. I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to ever ponder this.
I think
Yeah.
so. You and I'll explore this more
Okay.
later.
Good. Good. Okay. Well, I'm going to go purchase some things that have hot pink armor, and yeah, we'll be good to go. So thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to join us again next week at the same time, same channel, and you know, get on our Discord if you want to talk to us all day. We're there
Totes.
most of the time. All right. Thanks, everyone.